Today we're going to talk about the word the. The is a definite article, and in Spanish it has four meanings: el, la, los, or las. In Spanish, all nouns have masculine or feminine gender. El chico will be masculine, while la chica will be feminine. El libro will be masculine, la silla will be feminine. Notice that chica ends in A and silla ends in A, so you have to use la. Chico ends in O, libro ends in O, so you have to use el. Rule of thumb is, if any word ends in A, then you have to use la. If it doesn't end in A, then you use el. When nouns identify one item, they are singular, like el amigo. When they identify more than one item, they are plural. Los amigos, the friends. In Spanish, the definite, it defines something. The book, not just any book. So the definite article that accompanies a noun will match its gender and number. For example, el chico, the boy. Los chicos, the boys. If you want to say the girl, you would say la chica, the girl. If you want to say the girls in plural, then you would just have to add an S. Las chicas. Now let's practice. Let's look at the word carpeta. And let's think of the rule. If the word ends with an A, then you have to use la. So let's see. Try it out. What would it be? Carpeta. Would it be la carpeta or el carpeta? And the answer is la carpeta. Let's look at profesor. Does the word profesor end in A? No. So if it doesn't end in A, then you have to use el. El profesor. Maestra. Would it be la maestra or el maestra? La maestra. Well done. Let's look at libro. Would it be la libro or el libro? Even if you don't know the word, just look at how it ends. If it doesn't end in an A, then you have to use el. El libro. Computadora. Computer. El o la. Correct again. Good job. Diccionario. That means dictionary. Would it be el o la? Right again. El. Tijera. Would it be la tijera or el tijera? Look at the way it ends. La tijera is correct. Profesora. Would it be el profesora? Doesn't even sound correct, right? Or la profesora. If you say la profesora, then you are correct. Let's look at lápiz. Lápiz doesn't end in A, but it doesn't end in O either. But remember the rule. If the word ends with an A, then you must use la. If it doesn't end in A, then you have to use el. So for lápiz, would it be el lápiz or la lápiz? I hope you're thinking how I'm thinking. It should be el lápiz. Silla ends with an A, so it should be la silla. Borrador doesn't end with an A, right? It ends with something else, so it should be el borrador. Nice. Well, now let's try these words if I made them in plural. And then you'll have to choose between los or las. Now, the rule applies the same way in this one. If the word ends in an AS, then you have to use las. If it doesn't, then you use los. Okay? Los is the plural form of el. Las is the plural form of la. Let's look at the words again. Carpetas. Look at that. It ends in AS. So it should be las carpetas. Good. Profesores, does that end in AS? No. So it should be los profesores. Maestras, teachers, las maestras. So that actually also means female teachers, right? Because maestra is the female teacher. Maestras is female teachers. Libros doesn't end in AS, so it has to be los. Computadoras, computers. What do you think? AS. You got it. It is las. Diccionarios, OS. So it should be los. And notice the end of diccionarios, OS. Notice the end of los, OS. That also matches. The same thing if we go back to libros. Libros ends in OS, los ends in OS. So it also matches. Remember, Spanish, we like to match everything. Yes? Tijeras, AS, so it should be las tijeras. Profesoras, AS, so it should be las profesoras. Los lápices, that came really quick. Sillas, AS, so it should be las sillas. You guys are getting too good at this. Borradores, it doesn't end in AS, so it should be los borradores. You are good. Now, let's review our colors. Notice the colors. I have two columns. Amarillo, anaranjado, blanco, morado, negro, rosado, and rojo. If we go back in English, amarillo, yellow, anaranjado, orange, blanco, white, morado, purple, negro, black, rosado, pink, rojo, red. On the other side, notice how these end. Azul, café or marrón, gris o verde. Notice that on this side, they don't end on an O. And on the first column, they all end in an O. What does that mean? You need to change the ending according to what you are describing. So if you're describing something that ends in an O, then you leave the O. If you're describing something that ends with an A, then you need to change that O to an A so that it can match what you are describing. On the other side, these colors do not change. They are both male and female. Okay, they do not change. So, you got that so far? Let's give it a try. For example, la carpeta amarilla. You had to change the O on amarillo to an A because carpeta ends with an A. But if I had to write the same sentence, la carpeta azul, you do not have to change the color because the color azul can be used for male or female nouns. Now let's practice. I need you to underline the correct color. Which one do you think it matches better? El lápiz rojo or el lápiz roja? And I underline rojo because el lápiz is a male noun. Pupitre, azul. Remember, they can be both gender. So what is the answer here? Is it only azul? No, you're right. It's both azul and café. Let's look at the next one. La carpeta gris, la carpeta negra. Remember what color gris was? Gris doesn't end in an O, so it stays the same. So la carpeta gris would be a correct answer, but also negra ends with an A, and that matches the word carpeta. Let's look at the next one. Bolígrafo ends with an O. El is also masculine. So would it be el bolígrafo rosada or el bolígrafo rosado? You're right. It would be bolígrafo rosado. La tijera. Would it be la tijera amarillo or la tijera amarilla? I hope you're doing as well as I am. It is la tijera amarilla. Because la ends with an A, tijera ends with an A, amarilla needs to end with an A. Next one, el libro. El libro blanco o el libro blanca. Look at the way libro ends. And you should have blanco. Last one, and you're done. Would it be la silla anaranjado o la silla anaranjada? It would be la silla anaranjada. If you did all of these correct, you are so ready for that test. Practice and good luck.